Welcome to Take the Lead. My name is Muriel Boettger. I'm a psychologist specialized in the subdiscipline of positive psychology. Within the Take the Lead series, we focus on how to take the lead in your career or with your team. With me throughout, I have the wonderful Saleha Williams, one of the UK's top 100 technology leaders driving change in the technology business world. We are going to share with you how, by training your brain, you can take the lead in your career or lead your teams in business. Welcome to part 4, Take the Lead. My name is Muriel Boettger, and today we are talking about the third P in the 4 Ps, positive career mindset and positive leadership style framework with Saleha Williams. Welcome, Saleha.
Thank you.
We have already talked about passion and precision, so the first 2 Ps in your model. Today we are going to talk about the third P, productivity. So what is important through your lenses to know about productivity?
So I think we all have a view of what productivity is.
Yes.
It's trying to be productive. On a neuroscience level and within a business environment, and as we look at our career perspective, productivity to me is all around energy and engagement. So it's not just time and optimization of that time. It is optimizing your brain, optimizing the way you think and your energy to be the most engaged. So how much energy do you have and how are you using it? And how engaged actually are you? And this is, again, fundamentally something that we can prove through neuroimaging and brain scanning. Parts of the brain, when you're really feeling engaged, when you're really excited about something, so much so that time just seems to fly by. 5 hours feels like 5 minutes. And this is something in positive psychological terms, we call flow. And it was a term that was coined on a neurological level by Professor Csikszentmihalyi. I think I'm saying that right. And it was this state of just, you're so loving what you're doing. You're so engaged in it that you're completely in flow, or in other words, completely in the zone. And we see this a lot with athletes, with artists, people who have to really get themselves into that space. But for you as an individual, Muriel, you can think about a time and probably recall, when you're really in flow.
Yeah, definitely. So when doing sports or doing projects that are really interesting, or reading a book, I think most people know this feeling of time is flying by.
Exactly. And I think when you put this back to how am I creating and building my career, or how am I leading my teams, the more you can get the people who you are working with and on an individual level to get to that state of flow, the more dynamic and the more optimum and efficient you are going to be, because your brain is just sparking away.
Okay, so how do we get our teams into this state of flow? Because I think, or I can imagine that for a person, an individual, it is easier because I, as myself, know what I like, and then it's easier to come into this state of flow. But how do I get a whole team into this optimal functioning?
Well, I think, as you say, we experience it as individuals quite often, whether we realize it or not. And it is on an individual level where you're just doing something that so excites you, whether it's sports or it's painting or singing or whatever it might be. When you put that into a business environment and a team environment, it's still very important that you nurture the individual and the group of individuals within the team And essentially for human beings on a neuroscience level, getting into a state of flow in the business world or in a business career environment is getting to that state where their strengths and their skills, and we talked about this earlier in the passion episode, their skill sets and their talents and their fundamental strengths match up to the activity or the project at hand. So it's not so easy that you get bored or distracted, and we talked about the precision focus, but it's also not so difficult that again you feel that you can't do it and it's out of reach. So it's about matching up with your team, their talents, their strengths, so that they feel that they're growing, but they are optimizing their strengths and their talents around the project that they're working on. And so much so that they have this complete immersion into the project or the activity at hand. And what that means is they feel calm and they feel that they're on top of it, but they're also excited and being stretched by it.
So for people who are trying to take the lead, especially as in a leadership role, it is again putting effort and conscious time into getting to know your team and getting to know the talents you have within your team, so then you can give out the perfect task for this team.
Yes.
Or you can give out the perfect advice for this team.
Yeah, or the most optimum. Because
most
I think
optimum. Perfect again, is always.
Yeah, I mean, I think individually, if we could all just, if you love to sing, if you could spend 100% of your time singing, wouldn't that be perfect? But life isn't like that. And certainly business isn't like that. And so in the career sense and the business sense, it is around as leaders. If you go back to the strengths, the passion, the talents of the individuals in your team, and as you as an individual, you say, okay, how do I leverage? How do I do what I'm passionate about? And I get so into it. If you can then match that up on the individual level to the career that you're looking at, or in the business sense as a leader to the activity or the project or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve within the business, that is where you're able to increase that amount of flow or that state of flow. And so you could, if we put a brain scanner on your head, you would see the parts of the brain that are lighting up, particularly the anterior cingulate cortex. And this is the attention area and the cognitive control area. And this is the main neural circuits around the regulation of motivation. How motivated and excited are you? So it's proven, it isn't just, oh, let's get you excited. It is proven that if you are able to match the strengths and the talents of your team, or if on the career sense you individually, to what you're doing in your job, your career, or the project in your business, the more you can do that, the more productive you will be, because you're using your energy and literally your brain waves in the best possible way.
Yeah. How did you manage during your successful career to get into the state of flow regularly so that you manage your energy wisely?
I think there's two things. For me personally, part of it was around always learning. So I always wanted to learn the next thing and the next thing. And that goes back to that stretching. Yeah. So I built a foundation of knowledge and then could build on that so it wasn't too scary. But at the same time, it was stretching. And in all of my career, in all of the jobs I've had, I've really spent time going into the industry, the clients, the thinking around, understanding as much as possible, because I want to learn. So I get into a state of flow when I am being engaged and I'm learning something new. But I have to relate that learning to what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm never going to be a full-time academic or somebody that is only ever studying. I like to learn new things, but then be able to apply it. So this goes back to the what drives you. One of my key strengths in the VIA test we talked about earlier is a love of learning. But that isn't just academic learning, that's learning about a country, a product, the client, my teams, neuroscience, etc. I think the other thing is understanding how to best use your energy. And if we take this back to, how you build your career, where are you expending your energy and your time? Are you putting as much time and effort into learning, into meeting the right people, networking, into also physiologically looking after your body? Because if you are not managing your energy on a physiological level, as well as the psychological level, you're going to burn out.
Yeah, and this will definitely affect your productivity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that the balance, if one can achieve it, the balance is, harnessing that energy goes back to the passion of what drives you and motivates you in the first place.
Yeah.
What is the plan, the precision that you need to achieve, that passion, that goal for your career? And how are you spending your time and your energy? And for me, I've even looked at that years ago before it became sort of quite trendy around dashboards. And I literally in a 24-hour period would say, okay, there's 24 hours in the day. How much of that time am I sleeping or trying to sleep? Because you don't always sleep the full time. How much time is spent eating, getting ready, etc., etc. How much time is spent traveling to work, wherever. And the rest of the time, if there is any, where are you spending it? And if you can spend that time in that state of flow, as well as if in your business you can be in that state of flow, you will be the most productive. And you will, we've all experienced it where you fly through a book or you fly through, sort of something that time just seems to stand still because you're loving it. And so if you physically can measure that, and that's time management, your diary, your schedule, as well as build on that on a neurological level, then you're optimizing your energy in every way possible.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So the question for people who want to take the lead over their career, or especially in young leadership roles, is how to get yourself, your teams into this state of ultimate personal engagement or flow.
Absolutely. And I think it is, again, it sounds so simple, but I think most of the best things are. And rather than just sleepwalking into your career or sleepwalking into your job, actively thinking about that, actively planning what you want that to be, and then putting yourself as far as you can into a sense of flow in the zone, that's when you're going to be the happiest, the most productive, the most engaged, the most motivated. And when you're in that state, you're then able to look at how you can achieve your goals and your dream for your career, or whatever you're trying to deliver in terms of your team and the output and the results of that team.
Yes, and this is, you mentioned it before, but this is what you see around athletes or artists when they have a successful career as well, because they put themselves every time again into the state of engagement with the sport or the painting or whatever they're doing.
Completely. And I think this is something that we still don't utilize as well as we could in the business world. You should think of your career, one should think of your career in exactly the same way an artist, a sports person does. So how much time are you spending training, resting, thinking, reflecting to get, whether it's that 1 minute mile, whether it's the 100-meter dash, whether it's the most amazing performance on stage. Those things don't just happen.
Yeah.
But we can learn and do and reflect and do this for ourselves in our business, in our career in exactly the same way, and learning from those people. It is possible to train your brain to do that, and you do that by getting into this state of flow where you're so engaged, so excited, that you do then give the best performance you can of your job, your career, your project, your presentation, your test, in exactly the same way an athlete prepares for the Olympic Games.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. So the most optimum productivity is getting into flow and putting your energy into the plan you made and the precision. And in flow, you are most productive. So in a good state to deliver to the plan you made with passion and precision before. So within the next episode, we will talk about the fourth P in your model, which is about people. I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you for now for this part about productivity, Saleha.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Muriel.
We hope you're all listening when we're talking about the last part of the P model, the people.